of video capture.
Hi everybody, this is Ollie Cantos here, and I'm really appreciative to you for taking the time to watch this video today. And I'd like for this video to serve as a way for us to begin to get to know one another. Especially when we look online, we see that there are people all over the internet, and people can actually wonder, how is it actually possible through the internet to get to know people individually, to really feel like you know who they truly are? And in order for me to enable you to get to know me better, I wanted to take this opportunity during roughly the next half an hour or so with this video to tell you more about myself, only for the purpose of enabling you to see that I'm a real person and I have a real life, and I am also working in an intense way to build this online internet business through the Prosperity team as part of the Empower Network. But whether you came across this page because of seeing one of my blogs and wanting to learn more about who I am as an individual, or if you happen to be on my Facebook account and we happen to know one another in offline life, I'm just really happy and very pleased that you're here with me today, and that together we can use the miracle of modern technology to get to know one another better. And my purpose in doing this is so that you can know who I am and what makes me tick. And I'd like for this to be just the beginning of my getting to know you, whoever you may happen to be. And for many of you who may have met me offline in the past because of either a speaking engagement or the work that I did during my day job or whatever it might happen to be, I'm glad that you're stopping by too, because many of you I haven't gotten to see in a long, long time, and I've really missed you. And this is yet another way for us to connect. So whether you're here because of learning about me within the context of the Empower Network, or whether you are here watching this because you haven't seen me on video before, I'm really just appreciative that you're here. And to tell you more about myself, I was born 2 months premature, and because of over concentration of oxygen while in the incubator, I ended up becoming blind at birth, with the nerves in both of my eyes being just about completely destroyed. I have total blindness in my left eye and less than 3% vision in my right eye. And so I have some light perception, but it's not really much. I use a cane, so if any of you see me, I use a cane that's about 5.5 feet tall. And I also use technology adaptive technology to work the computer. And so you might have heard at the beginning of this video a robotic British voice in the background. And what that is a way for me to know what the computer says. Where most of you may navigate the computer by using the mouse and by clicking on stuff, I use keystrokes. And so that enables me to operate technology pretty efficiently. Websites are not always accessible to our technology, but it sure as heck helps when it is accessible. But so that's how I operate. And I also am a Braille reader. I don't read Braille as fast as other folks read because I didn't learn until I was an adult. But I am a Braille reader as well. And so people wonder, hey, you do all these things, are you really blind? And my answer to that is, whenever people say that, they actually might be thinking that they have certain associations of what they think a blind person would look like, or what they think a blind person would act like or would do. And my answer to that is to tell you that we as people who are blind, we're just as diverse as anybody else. We're just as mean or nice as anybody else. We're just as lazy or ambitious as anybody else. We're just as anything as anybody else. And so that's actually not a digression, but actually a segue into into telling you more about my own background. So, having been born blind and going through my life without ever knowing what it's like to see, I went to the Blind Children's Center in Los Angeles, California, in the United States. And while I was there, I was around other kids who were blind or visually impaired, and it really was a, 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 a great experience in many ways. But there was also some there were some attitudes about blindness where they were worried about how I would do if I would get hurt, that sort of thing. And they meant well and everything, but that was the best of what we had at the time. And so the Blind Children's Center has been was a great beginning point for me, and that was from the age of 2 through when I was 5 years old. And then when I was 6 years old, I ended up going to public school, and that's where everything changed. I was used to being in a more nurturing environment where blindness was just not a big deal, or visual impairment wasn't a big deal to anybody because everyone is used to it. But when I went to first grade and I went to an integrated school, that was 1976. And that was the year after this thing called it was called the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, which is now known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. But it was only 1 year after that special education law was passed. So I was among the very first kids affected by that law. And so when I was integrated into the school setting, there were a lot of kids who made fun of me, and I was socially excluded. I couldn't play ball the way they could. I couldn't run around quite in the same way, and it was hard to really make a lot of friends. Combined with how sensitive I was as a kid, I was just painfully shy. I remember even as a very small child when I was just 5 years old, and when parents who were friends of other parents introduced their kid, and their kid was 7 years old, and I remember thinking, gosh, Sydney is 7 and I'm just 5, so I cried because he was older than me. That's how sensitive I was. So picture this little kid who was painfully shy, who really didn't have a lot of friends, who just pretty much didn't like school because of feeling like this kid was all alone all the time, mostly. And that's really how I felt. And so that's how things were. And then later, when I was in 5th grade, after years of having been made fun of and kids coming up to me and saying, "How many fingers am I holding up?" And then they would put their hands in front of my face and ask me to count how many fingers that they were holding up. Or they would trip me in the hallway and say, "Ha, you didn't see that." Or they'd pull all manner of cruelty in that way. And it was just really tough. And the thing is, what made it even harder was how kids would also pressure me not to tell the teachers. And they'd say, "Ollie, what are you going to do? Are you going to be a big tattletale? Are you going to be a big baby? Are you going to just tell on us?" And so on top of that whole feeling of being so very, very alone and feeling like this is just not a good situation, it's just not really a place I want to be, in the sense of feeling like I was really happy, because I wasn't happy at all. I have had and have incredibly supportive parents. My mom and dad are amazing, and my sister, who I'll be talking about later, is the best sister in the entire world. So let the entire online world community know that I lay claim to having the best sister that any brother could ever hope to have in this life or any other. Okay, there, now I said it. So sister, if you end up watching this video, I love you so much. I love you, my dear sister. You're my inspiration, and I love you very much. And mom and dad, I love you very much. You two have been such an incredible source of inspiration for me. So back to my story. When I was in 5th grade, there was this kid who I was pretty much afraid of, and other kids were afraid of him too. His name was Dale. And so Dale, actually was somebody I pretty much tried to avoid. I don't know how many other friends he had. I just don't know, but I just remember being afraid of the guy. But what ended up happening was I felt like I finally just had it one day, especially with all the stuff my dad was telling me that I have to learn how to stand up for myself better and that sort of thing. I said one day I just said, that's it. That is enough. And so he told me to get out of his way. We were on the playground. I still remember it was Victor Hodge Elementary School in California. And we were by this playground equipment called the Hodgepodge, which is this thing that kids climb on. It doesn't exist now; they tore it down. But back then, it was really the place to be on the playground. And so at one point, he asked me to get out of his way because somehow I ended up in his way. And I, for whatever reason, just felt like, you know what, this is enough. And I told him, no, I'm not going to get out of your way. You get out of my way. So Dale came right up to me, and he lifted me up, and he started spinning me. You know, like the way you'd spin a little kid? And he spun me so fast that my body at one point became parallel to the ground. That would be fun if I were a little kid and it was for under fun circumstances, but under these circumstances it was not fun because once I had reached the momentum of my body being parallel to the ground and he was spinning me like that, and it took only like a second for him to spin me that fast, then he let go. So it's funny that in my past life, or my past responsibilities with old jobs I've had, I used to travel and I used to fly around a lot on airplanes and go places. And so sometimes people say, "Hey, Ollie, do you like to fly?" And my answer always is, "Well, it depends." So I can look back on it and laugh now when I was thrown that way, but at the time it was really, really discouraging and it was just debilitating. And I felt like, you know what, here I was trying to stand up for myself like my dad said and what my mom said, and all it did was get me hurt. Not only was my pride hurt, I wasn't really hurt badly physically, but my pride was hurt. It's like, okay, yeah, big lesson. Stand up for myself, get beat up. Yeah, great plan. But at the end of the day, that very same day, my two friends who are visually impaired, named Donna and Robert, I don't know where they are today, but if they ever come across this video, please find me. I've been looking for you for years. But Donna and Robert were they said to me, "Oli, Dale is that way. Let's go the other way." And I actually said, "Actually, no. I'm gonna go and walk up to him." And I remember Donna and Robert being really genuinely kid concerned for me and saying, "No, Oli, don't. You're gonna die." I remember their tone because you remember when you're a kid, you think that your whole universe is the playground and life at school when you're not at home. And that's really how it felt. But I walked up to Dale, it was toward the end of the day, and he said, "What do you want?" And I actually said to him, "Well, with everything that happened this morning, I'm sorry that all that stuff happened, except that and I said it really shaky, and my voice was real shaky, and I said, I don't want to be afraid of you for the rest of the year. Can't I just be your friend?" And then I reached out my hand. And when I reached out my hand, I thought, holy cats, he will either shake my hand or I'm a dead man. So I waited. It felt like an eternity. And so I waited, and the next thing I felt was his hand in mine in a handshake. And he said, "Yeah, Oli, I'll be your friend." And he said, "You know, I also know that a bunch of other kids make fun of you all the time, but from now on, if any of them ever makes fun of you again, you let me know, and I'll come running." And I remember the exhilaration I felt, which was an exhilaration like anything else I'd felt before that point in my life. And I said, "Yeah." For the first time in my life, I said, "Yeah, I have power." And so I felt invincible all of a sudden. And so the next day, word got around that I'm now allies with this Dale kid, and people wouldn't believe it. They said, "Oh, well, really, what can, how can that even happen?" And so they started making fun of me like they usually did, and kids, at that age still, they'd say, "Oh, Oli, you have the cooties," or well, beyond that, they'd also like do the whole usual thing, like, "Can you see me? Oh no, you can't." They just make these remarks and stuff. And so the next day, when they started getting into their usual, doing their usual stuff, I called Dale's name, and when I called his name, he came, and those kids scattered. They went to the four winds, and I still remember just standing there after they ran off, and it was just me and Dale. I'm like, oh my gosh, thanks so much, Dale. And he said, hey, yeah, anytime, buddy. And it was a breakthrough for me in the sense that I felt like, it taught me a big lesson that in spite of all of those times of feeling hopeless, of feeling like I didn't matter, of feeling like, yeah, my mom and dad, they love me, but they're supposed to. I mean, they're my mom and dad, but I mean, how's anyone else really going to love me? And yeah, teachers love me and stuff, but how am I ever going to get accepted by by kids my age and everything? I just had that feeling of inadequacy and just feel like, oh gosh. But that whole experience with Dale taught me that with the right attitude and with the right degree of creativity, that I can make it through any situation. And that is what I began to realize because of that whole situation with Dale. And years later, I came out of my shell more and more, starting then. And I really came out of my shell. And in eighth grade, I was junior class. Eighth grade, I was student body vice president. And by the way, during all this time from first grade on, I went to an integrated school with kids with and without disabilities. I mean, mostly there weren't a lot of kids with disabilities at these schools, just regular public school. And so in my junior year in high school, by that point, I had gone to Bishop Amat High School in La Puente, California, and that's a private Catholic school. And so by junior year, I was junior class president over a class of 500, and in my senior year, I became student body president over a school of about 2,000 kids. And this was the result of just all the years of just increasing belief, and I got involved with extracurricular activities, that sort of thing. But all the while, with all of that still, I still was in denial of my blindness, believe it or not. I didn't use a cane, and I just thought, well, what for? I mean, I can just memorize stuff, count steps, that kind of thing. And why even really worry about it? I mean, if I have a little light perception, I'll just get along and it'll be fine. Nobody would even know. And I also thought at the time that the more vision somebody had, the more ability a person has, and the less vision somebody had, the less ability they'd have. So I actually thought to myself, and this is being really honest with you, I thought, you know what? At least I have my little residual vision. I'm not like those totally blind people. At least I can do things with my life. I mean, at least I'm not helpless completely. And I learned later that was not only the wrong attitude, but it was also an inaccurate picture of the reality of blindness. 2 years later, when I was 20 years old, I got involved with the National Federation of the Blind. And that's where I learned truly that it is respectable to be blind. It's okay to say the word blind. We don't need any politically correct terms. We don't have to say optically precluded or visually challenged or hard of seeing or any of that stuff. Blind is blind. Just call it like we see it, so to speak. And by the way, we also, those of us who are blind, we also use the words like see. It's good to see you. I mean, and so have you seen that movie? We don't say, gosh, did you hear that movie last week? I mean, it just sounds kind of funny. So we still say, it's good to see you. Did you see that movie? That kind of thing. And so anyway, that's where, when I was 20 years old, that's when I learned that it was respectable to be blind. I started using a cane for the first time in my life, and I realized that using a cane was not a sign of dependence and incompetence, or a dog for that matter, a guide dog, but that a cane or dog was the sign and symbol of true independence. And so I used my cane, which I really needed to learn how to use, so I wouldn't get into more accidents that I had over the years, like tripping on things that are left in the hallway, or tripping down a couple steps, or hitting my head on a pole. I mean, there are all these things that happen over the years just because I wouldn't use a cane. But once I started using a cane, I just, oh my gosh, I felt so free. And so by that point in my life, I was already in college, and I went and I was working toward my degree in political science because I wanted to be a lawyer. My goal was, since I was 10 years old, was to be a lawyer, and my other goal was to make a lot of money. Let me just put it out there. And I wanted to make a six-figure income, not just all right. I wanted to do really all right. I mean, it was just, and I felt like then, and I feel now, that making money means that I just have a bigger ability to make a difference, both in my life and in the lives of those I love and in the causes I care about. So I make no bones about the fact that I want to earn lots and lots of money because of what it is going to do, money being a means for affecting change and just really having an impact on people's lives. So that put out there. That was my goal. And so I finished college within 4 years, and then after that I went to law school. And that was intense because I thought that I was all right. I was able to have some good academic success. I was involved with a lot of extracurricular activities, including ultimately being executive vice president and chair of the student senate at my university, Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, California, United States. And then so when I went to Loyola Law School, which was also located in Los Angeles and affiliated with Loyola Marymount, I thought I'd be okay, but it was tough. The reading was intense. It was even more than in college, and there were hundreds of pages of reading that had to be done each week. And in law school, for any of you who are lawyers or any of you who know lawyers, you can go and verify and ask those folks that when you're in law school and when they call you, the law professors stick with you the whole entire class period. So you darn well better be ready for when you're called on, that you better know what the facts are, know what the rule of law is, know the analysis, and be able to come up with a conclusion. And with whatever the conclusion is, that they're going to argue against you. So, and by the way, most schools, at least the way it was for my school, is that the final exam was not 20% of your grade, 30%. The grade, your final exam for us, the final exam for us was 100% of our grade, just about. I think 97% with 3% class participation, but it was pretty much all our entire grade. So can you imagine the pressure of having to go through studying through the whole semester, and then everything coming down to just one day of final exams, and then later with papers and stuff. But it was intense, and I honestly thought that I hit my limit. There were people around me who were saying, hey, Ollie, we love you. We want what's best for you. I mean, why don't you just be realistic? I mean, this whole lawyer thing, I mean, really? I mean, you can do other things that are perfectly respectable. You already have a college degree. And if this law school thing is too tough, just let it go. I mean, it's okay. I mean, even I couldn't get through law school. I mean, for any of you out there who've ever heard, if you have a disability or not, if any of you have ever heard somebody tell you, even I, those two words together are very, very infamous, and they're very insidious, because it means even I. It's like, well, I can't do it, how much less you, that whole thing. So be careful philosophically not to accept the whole even I thing, okay? So that's what people said to me, you should be realistic and everything. And honestly, because it was so difficult, I thought, you know what, maybe I just hit my limit. Maybe this is it. Maybe I shouldn't be a lawyer. I should go off and do something else. And I should be happy that I have other skills. I can write, and I can be involved with the community doing a lot of other things. I should just be happy with that. This law school thing, I'm not only wasn't I happy at it, but I was miserable. I just thought, oh my gosh, how am I really going to ever succeed at this? But long story short, ultimately, I finished. And wow, it was just amazing. And through a lot of hard work and persistence, I ultimately passed the California bar exam. And at the time I passed, it was the second lowest pass rate in the history of that examination. And so I still remember that when the results came out, they said, "Hey, Oli, let me check the results." My friend David Gordon, and I was with him and with some other folks from my church, and he checked the results online, or he called Carol, who's also my friend, his wife, and she checked the results online, and then he told me the results, and he said, "Oli, you made it. You made it." And I literally said, "Yeah." And at the time, we were all hiking in the mountains somewhere on purpose because I was so afraid of the results. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be home, and so we were out hiking, and it was just like in the movies. I mean, I cheered. I like, "Yeah, woohoo!" And so I was just so excited, but I cried. I cried hard because I also felt like I was an Olympian who had this. I felt like I was an Olympian who'd won the gold medal, and I just was just so grateful to the Lord for, I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm a Christian, and I was just really grateful to the Lord for all of His guidance and everything, and grateful to my mom and my dad and my amazing sister, and for all the people who believed in me, including people at Loyola Law School, uh, and people in church, and I just cried, and I was just so grateful. And so as I was laying there that night in the tent, just all by myself, and thinking, wow, I'm going to be sworn in as an attorney. Now I'm an unemployed attorney. So I think, great, I got this done, but what am I going to do now? And so meanwhile, because I was interning at the Disability Rights Legal Center in California, all this is in California up to this point. It used to be known as the Western Law Center for Disability Rights at the time. Uh, I was uh, I was ultimately hired there as an attorney, and this was back in 1999, and my salary at the time as an attorney, because it was a nonprofit organization, I still remember my salary per hour based on a 40-hour work week was $9.25. Not exactly the kind of salary I thought I'd make as a lawyer. But hey, it was a job. And so what I did was I treated the job as if I was making at least $1 million a year, at least tax free. And so I gave that job everything I had. I worked 80 plus hours a week, and I put all of my skill into it of what I was good at, with coalition building and outreach and building partnerships and making substantive changes through collaborative, innovative, interorganizational working relationships. And so it was just amazing. And then after doing that for 3 years, I ended up being recruited to come to Washington, D.C. to become General Counsel and Director of Programs for the American Association of People with Disabilities. And I ran internationally at the time this thing called Disability Mentoring Day, and did that for a couple of years. And I built it from being in just 37 states and the District of Columbia to being in all 50 states, plus D.C., plus 19 foreign countries on 5 continents. So it was really a lot of fun. And then later I ended up joining government. And so part of that time in government, I was just one of the big highlights that I had was ending up ultimately working for the President of the United States. And that ended up happening within 7 years of starting my career as an attorney. And by that point, I already had earned my 6-figure income that I had wanted. And I still am grateful to be able to bring in that kind of money now, but having done it as the result of all this work. So that's a story. So the question is, Well, hey, Oli, if you're making a six-figure income already, you're bringing in, well, I don't know, more than 12,000 a month or whatever it is. Uh, why the heck are you building the Empower Network? Why? Well, I guess the answer is because I see so much potential and I want to take my own life to the next level. No matter where we are each in life, we all want to do something bigger with our lives if we choose to take action to do something bigger. I'm so grateful to have worked for the president and to work under both Republican and Democratic administrations. And I've had my time in government. But I also have had the goal of building a large, successful business online. And I've tried different things over the years, and I've had difficulty in the past. And I have failed at a lot of things in the past with doing this stuff. But the Empower Network is what has been so amazing. It has a life transforming effect on anyone who associates with it and who sticks with it and who surrounds themselves with others who believe in the power of internet marketing for anybody. If somebody's a seasoned internet marketer or they're not, if they're brand new, or if they're not even in internet marketing, except and they might have day jobs like I do, whatever it might happen to be, the Empower Network is the place to be. This isn't the kind of program where we end up having to work 2, 3, 4, 5 years to be financially free. This is the kind of program that has the very real potential, as we've seen in the lives of our leaders, that has very real potential that has actually happened to many people, of people being able to bring in substantial amounts of money. And of course, as the usual disclaimer, just because they've made the amount of money that they've made doesn't mean that any of you will. But what ultimately determines our success is ourselves. Both me and my success are dependent on what I do and my own effort and my own attitude. And the same is true for you. So if anybody ever tells you different, then run the other way, because I'm here to tell you that as a matter of integrity, that any legitimate business does take some consistent action. But it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to work hard forever. It just means we have to work smart. And so that means that we might have to acquire new skills that we didn't have before. We might have to do new things that we've never done before. And we might have to do things that may be uncomfortable that we've never done before. I mean, literally, this video is an example of my doing something I've never done before when it comes to marketing. I mean, it's not a stereotype, but I mean, let's just say that if I'm, for people who are blind, it's not exactly a priority for us to have a camera to take pictures, for us to look at pictures. It's just not within our experience generally, except, some people might who have visual impairment might be able to see some of that. But for those of us who are blind, who really don't benefit visually from seeing pictures, why the heck would we have a camera except to take pictures for other people who can see, who are in our lives, who want us to take pictures? So I've never had a camera before, except it was on my smartphone. But doing this, including videos like these, this is a way for me to be present online the way that you can be present online, where you can be watching this any time of day or night while I can be off doing something fun somewhere, or pursuing my work within my job, and I love the work that I get to do that entails being able to continue to be of support to persons with disabilities of all types, in helping to advance equality of opportunity and access. But whatever it is that I'm doing, the internet allows me to leverage my time by being all over the place online, through constant marketing and through being able to share things with people and that sort of thing. And you can do the same thing. But imagine being able to blog, or imagine being able to just do videos, or writing e-newsletters, or whatever it might happen to be, just different ways that are available to us. And imagine getting paid for it, and getting paid substantially for it. That's what's available to all of us in the Empower Network. And I'm here to tell you that the Empower Network is an amazing, amazing business. It has already changed my life for the better. It has given me a sense of perspective that I never had before. I thought I did, but I continue to grow and change for the better because of this, and so can you. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with the Empower Network with this, because the purpose of this video is just to tell a life story, but the Empower Network is a part of my life. And there are a lot of other parts of my life that I'll be revealing through these videos, but not to give it all to you all at once, because it's kind of fun just to sort of reveal things from time to time. So be on the lookout. And if there's anything that I could ask any of you to do, and I'm really, really serious about this, whoever you are. If you know me from Facebook, if you know me from offline life, if you have heard of me through other people, or however way that works, because outside of the Empower Network, I have an internet presence exceeding 300,000 web pages with my name on it, with pages all over the internet. But however way that you have come to find me and this video, I ask you to believe in yourselves and really, really realize that no matter what failures you may have had in the past, that past failures don't mean that you're going to continue to fail. Those past failures could very well have just led you to the success that you're about to achieve here. And it's also important for all of you to know that failure needs to be embraced as part of the way that we succeed. Often there are times when we wonder if we're going to succeed, and because we're so afraid of failing, we end up taking no action. That's the worst thing to do. Instead, what we learn through the Empower Network and through the prosperity team that I'm a part of, and other teams within the Empower Network, is that we just need to take action, and we need to do it consistently. We may not always do it right. I mean, there's actually a video, if you look for it, if you go onto YouTube, look up Ollie Cantos' life story, I'm telling you, because it's still there, you're going to find a video of me with some kind of a light bulb or something over my head. I don't know why there's a light bulb floating over my head. I didn't intentionally put it there, but it's there and it's floating around. That video was not done correctly from a technical standpoint, but I still gave my heart. And I still am talking, on that video, I still talked with people to the same degree of heart that I'm talking with you now. So you don't have to do things 100% right. You just have to do it consistently, and you'll get better. I get better every day. And you also have to just do it with heart. So whether you are part of the Empower Network or not, just make the most of every day by taking action and look at the goals that you have. Visualize with absolute clarity what exactly you want, and give yourself a deadline for achieving those things, to the point where the reason why you move forward, and that intense reason why, is what will drive you to succeed no matter what. When you do that, you're going to be amazed what's going to happen to you within just a matter of days, 90 days. For the Empower Network, it's 90 days. 90 days from when you make that absolute decision that you are going to start and you are going to do it, and you will not look back. And you will make sure to lock arms with us and to find accountability partners, so that way there can be people who can help keep you going. And to really, really believe in this and really go all in. You'll learn what that means at some point later, because that's for another discussion at another time. But the way to do it is to start. Join with me by going to visionary-team.com and putting in your email address, and your best email address, then click the submit button. That's all you need to do for now. And then from there, there'll be some other stuff. But beyond any of that, I'm really excited just to make friends with you. I'm on Facebook at Ollie, O-L-L-I-E, Cantos, C-A-N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, O-S. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Twitter account, but that's my next thing to tweet. I have to tweet more, I guess. And so I'm on the major social media sites. Plus, I also am on YouTube, and so and other video sites like the Empower Network itself hosts video also. So there are a lot of ways to reach me. So I would love to hear from you, and please tell me your story. I want to know who. I don't know if I'm pointing right. I want to know uh, who you are. Who you are. I want to know who you are. I want to know you. I want to know what drives you in life. I want to know what is going to propel you to the next level. I want to know who you are personally. So to really build our closeness together, I really want you to join me. Let's just do it. Just do it. Let's just do this together. And I will tap you into an amazing system that will enable you to succeed when you put in the work to get it done, and when you leave your ego at the door and you do everything step by step that we tell you to do, and I mean everything, that you really, really listen and you do it the way we show you, because the system that we have is already proven. Do it, and on top of that, be the best self you can be. You don't need to be another me or another anyone. You need to be the best you that you can be. And the Empower Network, we embrace you for you. You. There is never going to be anyone in the world, ever, ever. There will never be anyone in the world that's just like you ever again. There has never been in the past anyone has been exactly like you in the past in all of human history, and there never will be another you again. So that means that you have a very, very special place in this world. And what you do with your opportunity as you live each day is you can either squander that away and just live an ordinary life, thinking that that's all there is, or you can take it, run with it, and embrace life for all it's worth, all the while reaching higher and higher goals and never stopping, and always feeling and pushing yourself harder in a fun way and in a spirit of learning to grow to the next level and to be the best that you personally can be in the way that I work hard every day to be the best that I can be. And so this is a community that you've stumbled onto. This is something that I would love to work with you on building, and I will be with you here every step of the way. And whatever your goals may happen to be, you tell me what your goals are. I will literally be able to help you map out to the day. I will be able to help you map out what exactly it is that you need to do, because there are metrics involved and so forth. I will show you how to do all of that. You just have to take action and have faith and have the right attitude, and you're going to make it. You absolutely are going to make it when you keep persisting. So, if nothing else, just know that you can make it in life if you persist. Okay? You're going to be getting to know me through various videos that I promise you are not going to be always as long as this one. And so, if you've lasted this long in watching the video, congratulations, because it already shows that you have a lot of persistence, that you've actually had the persistence to listen to me for this long. And if my sister actually lasts this long, wow, that would surprise me too. She's going to say, Kuya, because I'm Filipino, so she'll say, Kuya, that's just too long. But you know what? This is my life story. I'm not going to tell this life story every day. I'm just doing this on a limited number of occasions, and it is out there, and if anyone wants to know my life story, they can just come to this video. That way I can leverage my time. So I do this one time, and then later I can just work on doing other things. So thank you for watching this and just to learn who I am. And I'm really, I mean this, I'm really eager to get to know you, or to get to know you better, whatever the case may be. So please hit me up on Facebook. I will accept all friend requests, and when that happens, please just hit me up on Facebook, and let's start talking. Let's focus on the kind of success that is ours for the asking and for the taking when we do our part to have it happen. So thank you very much for watching, and there are so many wonderful things in the future, so let's do it together. It's going to be amazing. Take good care, and God bless you, and thank you so much for watching this.
Caps lock on, caps lock on. Brav. Caps lock. Caps lock off, caps lock on. Caps lock off. Caps lock on. Microsoft Live can win. Doper.